Welcome to Garage Time. Today I'm just going to be working on everything required to make this car drive. You know, the first drive is important to me. I bought this car on a trailer. I've never driven it. I had to borrow wheels from my 356 just to roll it up on the trailer, and there was a lot of people that said this car would never drive. You know, some restorations, they want to have it completely finished and perfect before they do that first drive. You know, that's not me. I want to drive it even though it's not perfect.
Garage Time.
So last week I left off in the engine bay and I was working on this engine mount. So I'm going to continue with that and finish up the gusseting that really stiffens this truss bar system to prevent the engine from flexing as it accelerates or brakes or corners. Yeah, this gusset here shown in cardboard was too difficult for me to form all in one step and prototype the angle and so forth. So I'm going to be cutting this out on this sheet and then welding it all along. More plasma cutting, yay! Sometimes I think, oh, this is the last time I'm using my plasma cutter to create, you know, little brackets like this. I've done this 100 times on this car, making custom pieces. This is probably not the last piece. I'm probably certain it's not the last piece, but I can't think of another one that I need to cut out. Who knows what else might need a bracket. I wanted to show you on my messy table, I have drawn some Sharpie lines on the table with the endpoints in mind. This is the exact measurement that's in the car. So what I do is I line these up here on the circles, both left and right, just like that. Those are lined up, and then there's a line drawn from edge to edge or from circle to circle, and then perpendicular to that is the center line of the engine. So I have this line sort of lined up with here. So when I'm welding this, I'm going to be periodically checking its overall width and its distortion, because I know from welding thin sheet metal this is going to distort some. So I need to be careful as I weld it, check it constantly, and then I should have no problems getting it fit back in the car, hopefully. Here's hoping this straight edge clamped on here kind of kept this straight. I did check it periodically with the table just to make sure things weren't moving too much. Looks like I welded my clamp to the bracket. So the penetration, I was welding from this side, but the penetration was enough to actually weld the C-clamp on. Pretty cool. All right, all said and done, I have everything back in its original planned position. So center line's lined up, and then these two ends here are lined up in the circles. It's a little hard to see the circles. They're just underneath there, but nothing distorted too bad. I shouldn't have any problem getting this back in the car. It's now fully welded, including the ends are welded on both sides and wrapped around. Welded, basically everywhere I could. Plus it has that stiffening plate that goes into the circle. So I'm not afraid of this thing just shearing off. This thing's still pretty warm, but I'm gonna degrease it just a little bit. And I don't like to use rattle cans ever, but I'm gonna make an exception on this one because I'm not sure that I'm done welding on this piece. So I just want to keep it from rusting, and this is a temporary engine mount anyways. I'm gonna give this a few minutes to dry here. So here on the wall, I have this list I'm gonna get started on. I haven't really created a lot of lists up until now because it's been so much work to do. Brakes are the #1 thing. If you can't stop, you can't go. So I know there are some things to do on the brakes, like put the brake pedal in, install pedal box, hard brake lines in the rear, calipers, and bleed everything. Attach gas tank, add the front fuel lines, regulators, install all the engine tin, install the axles, and rough alignment. I haven't even jacked up the car yet to do some visual inspection, but I have a list of 35 things already. Some of them are simple and some of them are not. There's the painted motor mount. It's in. I had some trouble. These are not the correct curved washers that go above the motor mounts, and so I need to source those. I think these are from the steering rack. They're too large and not curved. So I need to update those and probably replace the mounts anyways. But I can tell that the engine is much more firm in position. So what happens when you turn, it's going to be, putting stress on these brackets because these brackets want to go this way. That's why it's gusseted here, and hopefully that's enough gusseting. I considered putting another rib on the bottom, but you don't want to make it too stiff either because then all the vibrations of the engine are going to get transferred to the car. So it's a little bit of a balance. I think what I'll do on this is, when it's ready to drive, I will put a GoPro back here and I will just monitor the movement of the engine and the flex of this bar. And if it does deflect too much, then I will have to strengthen it some more. But I have a feeling this is going to be enough. So here under the car, you can see there's a big gap between the motor mount and the actual car. That's because this bolt is too long, so I'm going to be swapping out that bolt for something shorter. And if you look at the clearance between the brake lines, everything is looking pretty good. I don't see anything about to get crushed if I raise this up just a little bit. Another thing to add to the to-do list is the arm that goes on the transmission for the clutch. So I think this is the clutch cable right here, but it has nothing to attach to. It's missing the whole pivot. Having the same problem with this motor mount, I don't have the right curved washers. So I just have some placeholders in there, but I do have it mounted all the way up to the top. So the transmission is in its correct position. And if you kind of look, I don't know if you can see through here, but if you look at the shift selector, it's kind of going through the middle of the tunnel, which is what I'm up to next. I want to try to align that linkage to the shifter so everything moves freely, and see if this transaxle will actually shift. Another thing to add to the list is this ground strap here seems to be missing its terminal end. I think it attaches right here, but it's all balled up. I don't know if it's supposed to have a hole in it or a washer. So this might need some attention. It looks like someone just put a hole in it there. I don't know if that's good enough or not. The numbers on the bottom of this are pretty much unreadable. I cannot tell exactly what this thing is. From inside the car, it's gotten a little dusty in here, but you can see the shift selector is pretty well centered in the hole. Now that hole has been mashed up by someone. It's supposed to be round, I believe, so I might try to hammer that back down a little bit. The other thing I've done here is I've slid I have this bar, which is a pretty tight fit around the selector rod. So I'm just shifting it all the way back and then looking for the alignment. Here you can see that rod coming through, and I can sort of get a gauge for how well aligned the transaxle is, because I can go up about a ½ an inch and I can go probably down about a ½ an inch, maybe slightly less. So I'm going to be putting the shifter in now and comparing the position of this relative to the height of the shifter. I happen to have 2 shifter housings and just 1 boot, and they're both for 915. I'm just noticing though that one of the handles is longer than the other, and I'm not sure why that is. Don't really know what years these are from. This one's in better condition. So I'll put this one in first just because it's a little bit cleaner, but depending on how the shifter is relative to the steering wheel and the seat, I may actually want to swap out with this longer guy here. And I do have the little bushing here on the end that doesn't look too worn. So we'll give it a go. This is the shift linkage that actually came with my car, and it's looks like it's in good shape. I mean, it's supposed to have this bend in it, so I'm just going to clean it up a little bit. This bushing here doesn't look like it's that great. Feels like it's a little wobbly. Nice and clean inside there. Just put a little grease and see if I can get this in the car. Now this really should have gone in through the tunnel prior to putting the transaxle in, so I don't know if this is going to be able to go through the little openings or not. So we'll see. See, it looks like it's been welded right here, like a rosette weld. Keeps these locked together. Yeah, there's no way the shift rod is going to fit through those little holes and get into the tunnel. So I can't install the shifter and adjust the linkage. That is a mistake. I mean, I make mistakes. You guys like it when I make mistakes. It happens. It's not that bad though. I had fully intended on taking the engine out again anyways. There is no clutch at all between the engine and the gearbox. I got to change the flywheel on the engine, and I got to put all the engine tin back on, and that's much easier to do with the engine out of the car. So I'm just going to have to reorganize some of the work here. 39 items. I mean, if I did one per day, that's still over a month. So you might see more videos from me more frequently as we just get through one item at a time. And I'm not committing to every day, but you will see some rapid progress, I hope, because I want to get this car driving. Thank you again for watching, and if you have any comments regarding what I've shown today in terms of that clutch lever is a big one, the ground strap is another question I had, and if there's any other advice on that shifter height. That shifter height was kind of weird to me. There's two different heights. So let me know your thoughts, and I'll check back with you probably on Sunday. Take care.